Hello, and welcome to the TBI podcast, Those Bored Individuals. What is up, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the TBI podcast.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm going to assume those were hellos there, so... A lot has been happening recently, and a lot more adults have been vaccinated against the virus. I know for a fact that I'm still waiting on mine, so maybe someday.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm too young to have it.
Well, a lot of things are happening, and a lot of things are definitely being looked forward to. Because we're freshly out of watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and sooner or later, Loki will take the stage. So yeah.
Yes.
Oh, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
So apparently Loki's gonna be a timeline jumping officer, I guess?
I've tried not to read into spoilers, but I know it's something along those lines.
Yeah. But, sheesh, jumping alternate timelines. Imagine the crazy scenarios that we could be seeing. I mean...
Into the Loki-verse?
Ooh. It could happen. I mean, the only other version of Loki I know is the one where he has a cat head. For some reason.
Right, yeah.
Did we finally be introduced to the character Lady Loki? Because there is a character called Lady Loki, and that's all I know.
I had no idea.
But in terms of the alternate timelines, just imagine what we could see. Imagine if, I mean, it's crazy to think. Like, I think we've seen a timeline where the Avengers ultimately fail in some battle. So, yeah, it's already looking up to be pretty promising.
Yeah, I'm getting into more into the
Hopefully it's got quite a few episodes to it as too, and it's not just like 6 or something.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just came out of I finished watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier just recently, and wow. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I managed to finish it.
I have also seen it. I have to ask, right? I personally liked WandaVision a bit more, but they're both very different shows, so it's hard to compare, really.
So, okay. Marvel, whoever's designing the superhero costumes for the live-action movies, they deserve Oscars themselves. I mean, oh my lord, finally we're getting comic-accurate costumes for practically everyone that was left out. I mean...
Yes?
I mean, Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda, originally she just started out as, casual garb, but at least always worn some form of a red jacket. And by the end of WandaVision, wow, she looks amazing. Perfect comic book adaptation, so yes. And now, with Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, taking on his role as Captain America, his costume is pretty darn epic.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this podcast also needs a spoiler warning at some point.
Dudley. This was brought up in Avengers Endgame. People already know that Sam's become the new Captain America, so nothing's lost.
I've seen nothing on the internet apart from the stuff I've seen in shows. So, I mean, luckily I avoided spoilers.
Yeah, in terms of the costumes, apparently there's been leaked photos of the new superhero Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel.
Ah.
Yep, you heard that right. Marvel's first Muslim superhero is getting her own series / movie, depending on how things go. And once again, it's so accurate to the comic depictions. So,
Well, this sounds interesting.
so she's going to be teaming up with good old Captain Marvel and newly introduced hero Photon. So it's going to be one diverse film.
Yay.
I thought I'm getting into the Marvel
Keep him
universe.
coming. I want to see him.
So have you guys seen anything interesting recently?
Like, I caught up to Heaven's Design Team that you recommended.
Ooh, so, what are your thoughts on it?
It was a delight. I love it. And it's very informative.
Yep, just as I thought. Now I just need to find time to watch it for myself. Yeah. So, Michael, what
It's
about you?
biology creep. Sorry.
It's like, I just been me watching some of the older Marvel films to like catch up and like come back to it again. You know, trying to get back into it.
Nice. Yeah,
So I
because
can like watch the new ones properly.
good for you. Yeah. Because just looking at the MCU collection I've got right there, and there's a lot to go through.
So I've been trying to like rewatch some of the Marvel universes in my own time, but I've been having issues with Disney Plus, like on my TV. I'm trying to log in, and it's really annoying me. It just won't accept me in, so I have to watch it downstairs now. So
Yeah, that's the eternal drawback for a streaming service.
yeah.
Compared to Blu-rays, because unlike Blu-rays, you need the internet to watch them. So, yeah. Anyway, what about you, Dudley? Have you seen anything interesting?
The most recent cool thing that I have seen is the final season to Castlevania. And say again, Rowan. Sorry.
I was saying I really need to catch up on that because I saw the first season and I just haven't been able to get around to the other ones.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I think season 4 was really good, and I think my friend said it was the final season, and if it is, it ends in a good way. Season 3, I might say, is the weakest, but quite a lot happens in season 3. But yeah, you should at least see season 2, Rowan, because it's good.
I'll have to do that soon.
Yeah, I need to get into it, full stop. So, yeah.
It's good.
Speaking of Netflix, so you'll all know on Netflix there's that delightful series, She-Ra and the Princess of Power.
I've seen
I think
Yeah.
I heard of it.
I'm slowly getting through it, and I'm enjoying it pretty well.
He's very good.
Yeah, because in the same universe as She-Ra, apparently He-Man is getting his own reboot series.
Oh.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, from the looks of things, nothing is gonna change with this He-Man series.
Is Skeletor going to be in it?
Yeah, he is.
Yes!
The only thing that looks different is the animation style. It's sort of, from what I can see, it's almost like Beastars quality animation. Where
Looking it up.
apparently it looks like it's got missing frames, but it's still somewhat 3D, somewhat 2D. So, yeah. I only saw a few episodes of He-Man in my childhood, but this series, like I said, it doesn't look like much has changed. I mean, He-Man still looks like a big buff guy riding around in his underwear, etc. So, but it still looks pretty epic in its own sense. I mean, just looking at He-Man riding on Cringer, aka Battle Cat, it just brings back some good memories. Because Cringer, aka Battle Cat, is a pretty epic sidekick, I must say.
Yeah.
I have never seen an episode of He-Man. I mostly know him from that one YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know the one.
I only heard. I don't know much.
I've seen a YouTube video as of late, which is like, it shows how Skeletor became Skeletor, but it's not from the old, like, Hanna-Barbera He-Man era or anything. It's from a more serious tone of it, but I don't know what show that's from. But apparently it's not the only time, this isn't the only time they've tried to take a serious note with the show, I guess.
Yeah. I can't remember how that video went. Was he like cursed and had like acid thrown on him or something?
Yeah, he bet it's along the same sort of lines as selling his allegiance to the guy. I think the main villain's called Horak or something, and then he turns him into Hordak. Okay, and then he changes and he becomes Skeletor, and then it's like, yeah.
So technically speaking, it's just his head that's skeletal. So technically, he should be called Skeletor.
Yeah, because the rest of him is quite buff.
Yeah, because he's still flesh despite his head. Technically speaking.
I mean, have you seen his bulging muscles?
Wow.
Yeah. So, depending on how things go, I'll be keeping an eye out for this series just to compare, I guess. Like, is there a reason He-Man just rides around in his undies? Well,
I was gonna say, do you mean compare muscles or compare shows?
compare the shows. Sheesh. But just to round this segment off, one other show that I think I'd like to compare is apparently there's one show from my childhood which I adored is getting a reboot or new series, and that is the Rugrats.
Well.
So, apparently the Rugrats are now going to be in CG form, so...
I've heard of this.
Yep, and compared to that, apparently there was meant to be a CG movie based on the Rugrats, but they showed like one picture of Chucky's redesign and everyone just went crazy over it. Like, no, this is not how they're meant to look. So
basically what happened with the Sonic movie.
Pretty much.
Remember that?
Yeah. But
the days when the internet collectively bullied an entire movie corporation.
Yeah, and now by the looks of things. So apparently, in terms of Sonic, now everyone looks fairly accurate, including both Tails and Knuckles, who are set to appear in that movie. So.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So, will any of these properties outdo what they're based on? Well, only time will tell. I heard a no there, Dudley, so... Anyway, moving on. You're listening to the TBI podcast. Well, as the lockdown is about run full circle, things are slowly returning back to normal. And but since since a lot of us have been cut off from our friends, what's the next best option? You make your own, like I've got here.
Oh, God.
And for those of you who are curious, I bought this large yellow felt snail puppet, and I'm showing it off, so yeah.
How do you feel to be part of the stream?
I'm doing fine.
Oh, God, it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's also success.
So, in case you're curious, my name is Snarf, and it's great for me to finally come out of my shell and meet you all. I'm going to slowly peace out of here, so I'll see you later. He's slowly slithering off, just so you know. But Snarf here isn't the only imaginary friend that we've been introduced to in our lives, because all of us at some point have conversed with imaginary beings in some shape or form. Am I right?
Yep.
In ways, yes.
My friends aren't imaginary. All real.
Well, yeah. But I'm more talking about childhood imaginary friends, because I thought it might be interesting to bring up who we invented in our childhoods, because imaginary friends can take on many different forms, whether it be an exact duplicate of yourself or something completely outlandish like Bing Bong from Inside Out.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Who's Bing Bong? I don't remember Bing Bong.
you've not seen Inside Out, Dudley?
I don't remember Bing Bong. It must have been taken out of my memory.
Oh no!
That.
I knew what you were going for. I didn't want to say anything.
Oh, you dirty little...
I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah, but we don't like to think about it, that's the thing. Anyway, I thought it would be interesting to bring up what our childhood imaginary friends were like, so would anyone like to go first?
I think I'll go because mine's the shortest.
Oh, okay.
I had an imaginary friend when I was a kid. I know one thing about him, and his name was Bernie.
Bernie. Okay.
That's all I know about him.
Is that it?
Yep, literally.
Okay.
That's either how far I got when I was a kid, or it's just all I remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As for me, the thing is with me is that I had a pretty active imagination, and I couldn't exactly settle on a definitive imaginary friend, and so I was oftentimes making brand new ones on depending on what was popular at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I must have filled half of the dormitories at Foster's. Which might be a sad truth, but hey, at least I gave Lauren Faust an extra job. Certain notable imaginary friends that I had, I remember at one point I had 4 elemental dragons as imaginary friends.
Kind of reminds me of Ninjago.
Yeah, 4 friendly elemental dragons. One was fire, one was earth, one was ice, and one was I think it was air or something.
I was going to go for lightning.
So yeah, I distinctly remember them. I would often pretend like they were flying in the skies, like wherever I would go, like, oh hey, you guys are coming too. So yeah, the 4 of them were I remember quite a bit. There were some of the lesser known imaginary friends I had. Like, I remember at one point having a select few Pokemon as imaginary friends. So again, that shows you what was popular to me.
Yeah.
Any Pokemon in particular?
Not really. I think it was just based on the Pokemon that appeared in the first movie, so yeah. So yeah, but the dragons stood out a bit more because I thought they were a bit more original. So I couldn't exactly remember their names, so I just called them what they represented. So yeah. So yeah. Dudley, what about you?
No, well, to be honest, I never had what the first thing you'd think of is when you think of imaginary friend. So I never had like an actual imaginary friend I'd talk to and stuff like that. I would do the thing where I gave like personality to like my childhood toy or something, you know?
Yeah.
So like, as a kid, I got this dolphin plush. I think I've shown you it before.
Yeah.
But at some point down the line, I got a mini version of it. So I always thought, okay, well, that's its daughter. And then at one point, I got another dolphin. I was like, okay, that's the husband. It was like I was making a family. I just looked at it like that. I never had a quote-unquote imaginary friend. I used to play imaginary games, but
Yeah.
probably the closest.
I think we've all at some point brought life to our toys in some way.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly remember having quite a number of different plushies that I used to bring life to. So, yeah.
Yep.
But I might reserve that for future conversations. But because, who knows, I think imaginary friends and toys we used to grow up with might be completely different categories. But anyway, what about you, Michael?
Well, for me, I had probably multiple, but they weren't like plushies or anything. But I did have like a massive imagination as a kid. A really insane one to be fair.
Oh, I can only imagine what your imaginary friends look like.
Well, I didn't make them up. They were already a thing.
It was Palpatine, wasn't it?
Well, I used to say with my Doctor Who action figures a lot. And I used to just like play with them and pretend they used to go on adventures and everything. And I still have the figures, obviously. But that's the only thing that was imaginary for me playing with my Doctor Who action figures when I was a kid.
That's nice. I guess that's partly the reason why you watch my reactions. So.
Well, yeah, I think that was just the beginning, to be fair.
Nice. So, yeah, from what I'm gathering in this conversation, a lot of our imagination was channeled into our toys. So, Ryan, was that the same for you?
Toys and games, mostly. Just like my versions of games were me running around the garden pretending to be like a hero or something.
Nice. But like I brought up earlier, I had quite a massive plush collection, I think, and to be honest, I still technically do if you look at the top shelf.
Uh-huh.
I kind of see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing my Sven plush from Frozen. He's my favourite currently. He's the perfect comfort. Yeah, he's the perfect comfort buddy when I'm feeling a bit too down, so yeah. But when I was a child, it was quite an incredible cast of characters. We had Kara, the puppy who was based on a real dog that was part of the family at some point. There was...
Oh yeah, I had that. I did that before. That actually brings memories now. Oh no.
Yeah, there was also... A lot of them were named after just random names. Like some of them were a bit too basic. Like, oh, I see where you got that from. Like, there was Nelly the elephant, who was up there in the top 3. There was also Jess the Cat, partly based off of because she looked like Jess from Postman Pat.
Oh yeah.
But one of my most legendary plushies was this large black horse plushie with a white diamond in its head, which I nicknamed Dapple.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, one of the best memories I have of Dapple was I actually brought her down to my cousins in London, and we had like this huge Western scenario playing out where we all had large horse plushies and we would just ride them like cowboys, etc. And that was a legendary moment that Dapple took part in, and have never forgotten it.
Yeah.
Sadly,
Do you have any pictures?
no, because and unbelievably, I don't even have Dapple anymore. I don't know where she's gone to, but
Yeah.
I assume she's running freely on the prairie, wherever she may be.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe someday we'll be reunited, Dapple. I look forward to seeing you again.
You are listening to the TBI show.
Well, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the month's most ridiculous headlines.
Yeah.
Headlines.
Okay, in this month's news, a 23-ton piece of rocket will crash land on Earth, but nobody knows where it will land.
Oh.
So just keep. Yeah. Oh God, it almost sounded like a prize announcement for a game show. Surprise! You win a rocket. Cheep.
The prize is death.
Jesus
Oh, God.
Christ.
One of us needs to have the dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think now I'm starting to worry if Dan's contacting us from the past, because I saw a tweet from Karen Gillan this week and it said a rocket was going to land somewhere last Saturday. I assumed it had landed by now. But if there's another one, but that's more cause for concern. So
No.
well, Earth is littered with space debris, and occasionally something is bound to fall down back to Earth again, and we have no idea where it will land, but just make sure to carry an umbrella. That's probably not going to be much protection, but hey, it protects you from the rain, so why not? Okay, so this next headline, this story doesn't really have a headline, but it's quite a fascinating story. So, this is pulled from the Facebook group I'm a part of, a group where we all pretend to be ants in an ant colony.
oh yeah, I remember that.
So here's the story that was brought up, and it says, to prove that ants counted their steps, scientists took a few ants out of a line and attached tiny stilts to their legs. Since they took bigger steps, the ants totally walked right by the food and got confused when they walked the correct number of steps. So, in conclusion, scientists are creative and weird.
What will they do with this information? Who knows?
I mean, I'm just looking at this picture of this one ant, and it looks like Miss Spider from James and the Giant Peach. It's the red stilts that it's wearing. It looks almost like it's wearing high-heeled shoes, like Miss Spider does. I mean, it's pulling them off.
I don't think they were counting their steps once they put the stilts on. I think they were like, oh, it's playtime now. I'm not getting the food. They just started walking around on stilts. Started.
And according to because the story was on Tumblr, apparently this is what some people had to say, and this person said, "I can't tell what my favorite part of this story is. Either scientists are wasting budgets and time if ants count their steps. 2, the idea to put ants on stilts in general. 3, there had to be a guy who made ant stilts and put them on ants." So,
Be a person making ant stilts.
yeah.
Maybe they just use chopsticks.
Oh god. Speaking of stilts, there's this. I remember seeing this video on Facebook, and apparently there's this guy who he's average height, but for some reason he wants to be identified as like a 7-foot tall person, and he literally walks around on stilts everywhere he goes purposefully just to give off the illusion that he's actually 7 foot tall.
A trench coat and hat.
No, he literally walks with stilts within his own house, and he's literally banging his head into the door frame purposefully just to say, "Oh, I banged my head again. I should have expected that because I'm 7 foot tall." Like, what are you doing?
The end goal here.
Apparently, a quote from him says that while he's wearing the stilts, he said, "The world wasn't built for someone of my size." What?
Kind of is. People do exist at that height.
Yeah.
It's not born one of them.
I mean, where do you draw the line? Do you you don't see what do you think his neighbors are like? Can you imagine like the woman across the street crawling on all fours saying, "I'm only a foot tall," and she's just crawling on her stomach everywhere she goes. "I'm only 1 foot tall, don't judge me." You're not. You're average height. A lot of people would love an average height, but you don't see them pretending that they're not, right?
They must be on something.
God. So, whatever this guy's trying to accomplish, you just do what you do.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the next headline. A tired burglar falls asleep while robbing a house which was owned by a police officer.
Whoops.
Jeez. So, first off, you are pretty stupid to have broken into a police officer's house, but seriously, to fall asleep while you're robbing the place?
It sounds like a plot for a weird movie.
Yeah, I can see that. So,
My first thought, I think back to an episode of Pokemon where Essie and James send a letter announcing they're going to rob a house, and then what they do is they say they're going to rob it at midnight. So until midnight, they sleep in the attic, and so they can rob the place, and then they oversleep by an hour because they were tired, and then they just rob the place.
So,
But
jeez.
I doubt this person was sleeping in the attic.
No,
I'll just go to bed for 'em.
no, just literally just
I thought he
sleep.
just sat down and conked out.
He literally, I'm seeing the photo right here. He's literally sleeping on a bed of some sort. So, apparently he just found the room and just thought, oh, I would carry out this TV, but I wasted all my energy. I'm just going to... oh, I'm under arrest.
Oh no.
Jeez.
That actually sounds like a good comedy.
Who knows? That might be used for a new animated series.
Trademark TBI podcast.
Yeah, trademark TBI podcast.
Hell yeah.
And the last headline that I have is this. Predator's screenwriters are suing to win back the franchise's rights from Disney. So apparently, the producers and screenwriters of Predator want the rights for the Predator movies back from Disney. So yeah, just tying in with the last few, just tying in with the last few stories that we had of Disney's new ownership of the Predator franchise.
Oh,
I haven't even done anything with it yet.
I know. I mean, jeez, Disney owns practically half of the movies in the Western world currently.
Yep.
I mean, there's no. I mean, you try suing them for the rights of a property they hold dear. They're probably not gonna let it go anytime soon.
Yeah,
Let
she
it
was
go.
Not during the summer, Dudley.
In summer. You're just making me sing the song.
Then it's summer.
So, what are your thoughts?
To be fair, I am still a lot of people, and I know it's a big amount of people, aren't happy that Disney own half of the stuff.
Yeah.
Or a lot of the stuff they own. I honestly don't mind. I think as long as they make something that's good, I'm happy about it. I don't mind who owns it or what. But what I am interested in is why they're trying to win the rights to it back. What is their purpose? Because have they heard something Disney's going to do with it? Or are they like, oh wait, we didn't do the deal right or something?
Yeah.
Because Disney hasn't... Usually you'd wait till Disney ruined the franchise before you tried to get it back. And they haven't done anything with it yet. So
Yeah.
I wonder what it's all about.
I mean, people were originally complaining that Disney was going to ruin the Star Wars movies when they bought it back in 2012. But aside from a few hiccups, they actually did produce some good content. The Force Awakens was pretty amazing. It was the first decent Star Wars movie in decades. And from what I've seen of The Mandalorian so far, it's looking pretty epic.
Yeah. It's stuff that has gone wrong has been down to the people they chose to make stuff rather than Disney itself. So, yeah, and I mean, I'm not a big fan of Rise of Skywalker, but Mandalorian and Clone Wars and stuff recently that have been solid. So, yeah. Opening that can of worms. Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the month's headlines, and yeah, ridiculous as ever. I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to TBI. Well, as for this last segment of the podcast, I want to talk about a movie that I saw in December, and now finally I get the chance to talk about it. Wonder Woman 1984.
This is going to make it a little...
No,
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Well, what do I think of this movie? Honestly, I thought it was quite a lot of fun. I mean, compared to the original Wonder Woman movie, it's definitely quite different, because whereas the original Wonder Woman was about this warrior in no man's land, standing up to the Germans, and now in Wonder Woman 1984, people are a little bit conflicted on it because of the changes, but if you go in not questioning anything, you'll be in for a fun time.
Is it similar to Aquaman in that way? Because I have seen Aquaman now, and that was pretty good. And Shazam, actually.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I enjoyed Aquaman as well. Yeah, there are quite a lot of fascinating moments in it. Like, one of the main villains gets his hands on a crystal that can grant wishes, and his wish, I wish to become one with this crystal, so that any time someone wishes for something, I can make it happen. But I take a little something away from them as payment. And I thought, wow, that's a smart wish.
Oh,
However,
I see.
yeah, aside from some great moments, there are some moments that I do think are a bit questionable and I think could have been a bit better. For instance, Steve Trevor, the pilot from the first movie, is brought back when Wonder Woman wishes him to be back. But for some reason, he's possessing another man's body, and Diana's just like, hey, it's my boyfriend who's possessing a complete stranger. Yeah, this'll, I'll not question this at all.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, there was no need for Steve Trevor to be possessing another guy. You could have just brought him back, full stop. He didn't need this weird factor of possession.
He just got
No, I want to see it even more.
Another thing that I think could have been a little better was the cheetah. Because the cheetah is the other main villain of this movie. What I wish could have been better with the cheetah was, I wish she was in her pure feral cheetah form a bit sooner in the movie. And the other thing, I think her design could have been just a tiny bit better. I mean, she's definitely not a woman in a cheetah skin catsuit or anything like that. She literally, thanks to the power of this magic wishing stone, she actually corrupts herself into becoming this half woman, half cheetah hybrid. But, I mean, she looks pretty good. The only thing I would complain about is her face. Because compared to other designs for the cheetah, I think they could have made her look a lot more monstrous and feral. I mean, have you seen Rocket Raccoon? Probably one of the most expressive CGI characters in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I mean, surely you could have done the same thing for Cheetah, surely given her a pure cat head and just had her translate her emotions. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I've ever seen of the cheetah is from the Justice League animated series, I think, when Joker and Lex have Batman tied up and they get her to guard him at one point, and that's literally the only clip I've seen. But,
Yeah.
Now I'm curious.
Well, aside from that, I quite enjoyed this film. It's kind of like, I compare this movie to Gremlins 2, because if you go into the movie without questioning anything, you'll be in for a really fun ride. So, yeah, that's what I think of Wonder Woman 1984. Dudley, you saw, well, technically I've seen it as well, but what are your thoughts on King Kong versus Godzilla?
Ooh, well, basically, I liked it. There's a lot of, I'd say there's a lot of dragging scenes. And I actually think I liked Godzilla King of Monsters more. Because maybe it's because I like Ghidorah a lot. Let's put it there, like Ghidorah as, the big three-headed dragon.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I don't know. It's interesting. I think the way they handled the fights was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously some people are going to root for... People are going to root for Kong and some people are going to root for Godzilla. But it does ultimately have Victor. So it's like, okay, it's not going to... I thought, a few people thought it was going to be, oh, they fight for a bit like Batman and Superman, and then suddenly this other threat's going to come in there, team up and destroy it. But they do have... kind of do that with another thing that does come in towards the end, but they do have Victor of the fight of Godzilla and Kong. So
yeah. So I've seen it for myself, and I thought it was pretty epic. The stuff revolving Inner Earth, I thought was really cool, and the fact that King Kong now wields a giant axe that can be powered by Godzilla's nuclear breath, and it's like, wow, yes, these two are definitely equals now. Now they can fight each other.
Oh yeah, because that was kind of a thing. Like, King Kong is a giant monkey, and Godzilla is a lizard that can shoot lasers from its mouth. Wonder which one's got the upper hand.
And twice the size of Kong.
Exactly.
But still, I definitely thought it was a pretty epic battle.
There was a special entity that comes into play towards the end that also fights against Godzilla and Kong. I wasn't too happy about the way it was designed. Let's put it that way.
I want to guess what it is, but I weren't right.
Exactly. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say, I'll put it this way. I thought the teeth could have looked cooler. They did. Let's just put it that way. And then that might have changed my thoughts on it, but
yeah.
Anything.
So, yeah, I think we're practically done for this podcast. So, anything we want to bring up before we go?
I know what I'm saying this now.
Apart from my recent addiction to Pokemon Snap, nothing else.
So, what about you, Snarf? I see you're still trying to slither away from this conversation. Anything you want to bring up? No. Okay, you really taking your time there, buddy.
Snail pace.
Shut up. Okay.
It's going so slow, the audio's cutting out.
I think anytime any of us are lagging, we should just talk in slow motion, because ultimately that somehow works in getting lost audio.
No, don't mention lagging.
Anyway, it's already begun.
Well, he's frozen.
Well, we're at the end of the podcast anyway, so we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.